Well, here we are at Hanford Reach Fishery on the Columbia River with pro staffer Austin Moser from Austin's Northwest Adventures. He's been helping us develop new products. I've enjoyed fishing with him. I think he's probably one of the most progressive young fishermen on the market or in the industry right now. And I've noticed camp by you last night, just all the effort that you're going through as a guide. And I thought it might be neat to share with people a little bit about what your life is like. I know, down at Buoy 10 this year, I was 14 days straight on the water and wore out. And you spend, how many days a year on the water do you spend fishing?
I'm 260 to 280 probably, I would say. I know that maybe this year I might be more like 300 days,
300 days on the water,
which is a lot. I have fish camps all over the Northwest. I travel from different fisheries to different fisheries, and I have to move my camp every time I move. And usually, most of my camps are, my winter stuff's about 4 months long, but my salmon seasons are about 40 days or so. So I'll spend 40 days in one area, and then I'll move to the next, Buoy 10 to
So
the Hanford
just kind of
Reach.
going off of this summer, when was it, a month ago or so, I saw you down at Buoy 10, Astoria. So how long were you fishing down there?
I fished Astoria from the opening day, which was August 1st. I fished that until the 3rd of September.
So that was 33 days straight.
33 days straight. I had 2 days off in there that I really had to have.
You needed them, to get the boat ready.
Right.
And then you went from there, and just the other day you moved to down by the Deschutes in the Golden Dale, and you set up camp there to fish that fishery.
Yep.
And then what happened?
Yeah, so we got all set up to fish Maryhill there at the Deschutes, and we fished about 3 days. We had our camp all set up, just rolling, figuring out the fishery, and they closed it on us.
They closed it.
So we've had to pull up camp, and we ran up here because this is the only fishing open for salmon in the state right now. And luckily this is where I go next. And so I have a house up here that I rent and everything, and it was an easy transition. So just happy to be able to do that.
But the point that I wanted to point out is that you went from Astoria, you moved up near the Dalles, Oregon, and then when that closed, you moved now up to the Hanford Reach area out of the Tri-Cities, and you're just moving, and if
following the fish up the river.
Following the fish, and if you got to stay in a tent like you did last year, I saw you on the river, you were tenting it.
Yep. Because
you had to just move and go with the fish, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to get across is just your passion for fishing. When you're fishing with Austin, it's all about keeping the lines in the water, and it's go, 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 and having a great time. But the key is to come catch fish, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. It's important when the bite is on to be prepared for that and get your lines back in the water, make sure everything's working good, and get back on the fish, because you got to capitalize on them when the bite's happening.
Sure.
So I'm real adamant about that, and it works out well for me, and we have a good time and we catch fish.
Last night, I know we rolled in a little bit late, and you were out in your boat at 8 or 9 o'clock at the night. You had your headlamp on, you were getting the boat ready for today, and is that pretty typical?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of long days involved here, and you got to get the boat cleaned up, you got to get your gear prepped for the next day, bait made, just double checking everything, making sure the boat's clean. I mean, that's a big deal for me, is having a clean boat, being on time, and having great communication with your customers. And
sure.
That's just a big deal for me. And having good equipment, like these fish fighter rod holders and things like that, it's all about having good equipment so that your customers have a great day on the water.
What are some of the things, I don't want to call them mistakes, that a customer can make, but what can they do to best enjoy the experience? I know we talked about rain gear a little bit. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, so I have a confirmation letter that I always send out, and it always says rain gear required. Well, my customers, they always look at the weather report, and then they say, well, it ain't gonna rain today, I don't need the rain gear, and a lot of times it'll be sunny and nice out, but the rain gear's not for the rain. We get a lot of boat traffic, wind chop, and you get sea spray. I call it being blessed by the sea. And if you don't have rain gear, you're very blessed.
And when you say sea spray, that's even on these freshwater rivers, right? So
yeah.
Here in a little bit, we're talking about making a 10 to 20 mile run up the river.
Right.
And these boats are completely open, so you're going to be taking as a customer the wind, and
yep.
Your day is so much more enjoyable as a customer. And I'm sure yours is if they're comfortable, right? You probably
exactly.
don't enjoy it when they're uncomfortable.
A lot of times I have spare rain gear for people, you know, but I don't have all the sizes that are going to fit everybody. I just have my hand-me-down stuff that I'm not using anymore.
And when it comes to rain gear, you're wearing the Sims, lightweight. I've got lightweight bibs on. The Grundens heavy rubber ones are nice too. You get a little hot in them sometimes.
Yeah, you know, the breathable stuff is really nice, but if it's a really heavy downpour of rain, they're gonna leak as well. So PVC is hard to beat, but if it's hot or anything like that, you're not gonna wanna wear PVC. I encourage people to get Gore-Tex rain gear and then have rubber rain gear at the same time.
The other thing is you know, obviously it goes without saying, is sunscreen.
Yeah, definitely.
As you pointed out this morning, right?
Right, yeah, there's lots of sunscreen out there. I wear a buff or a face shield because I don't like to put sunscreen on my face. So I just wear this mask throughout the day when it's real hot out. And as you can see, I get a lot of sun because I'm in the elements a lot. And a good pair of sunglasses can be very important as well. And I like polarized type sunglasses because I can see down in the water better. It helps me to see fish to net, helps me to figure out what the fish is doing under the water and what way his head's facing and things like that. So.
Well, and not only being a pro staffer for us, as you can see on his fishing jersey, you're also a pro staffer for Pro Troll,
yep.
Pro Cure, offshore tackle, and Yakima bait,
yep.
as well as Bob File boats.
Yes.
And how's that relationship with all these vendors? Do they treat you the same way we do? I mean, are you doing product testing for them?
Well, a lot of times I'll do, like Bob Files, I do seminars, you know, and I'll do seminars in their showroom, and I show off the new products that the companies are coming out with and the things that I use to catch fish. Bob Files will stock a lot of the products that I have, and then they'll be on sale there. Yakima Bait's always coming out with new stuff and innovative things on the market, like their free sliding spreaders that have changed the game for me. And so
yeah, we were talking about their sliders this morning, and I lost a fish because I wasn't using it, and then once you showed it, I mean, that's the thing that I've noticed about you is when we're on your boat, you know, I've been on other boats where the guy says, well, so and so, you know, they give me these rods, so I use them.
Right.
You're a little different. You use products that work, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then if the sponsorship comes, that's even better. But
right.
you know, you're not taking sponsorships just because and putting their name on. Like right now, this morning, I saw we're using Procure.
Yeah. Yeah, the scent
on the super bait this morning.
Yep, exactly. And I try to work with companies and help them develop their products better and make them better, because when I'm on the water 300 days a year, them guys aren't.
Yeah.
And if I find something that's not working correctly with the product, I can give
them
feedback.
I know, trust me. We have an engineer on the boat too, and he's calling us constantly, texting, you know, change this, change that. I wish I could show you, but we have some new product development here going on at the front of the boat, and you seem pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
And but as excited as you are already making changes on it. You asked us to raise it one of the lips 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch, and you know, just talking about our rod extenders right here, that how excited you are about these, and we made some changes in the plunger and you weren't totally happy with it, and you let us know.
Right.
And I appreciate that, right? And
yep.
I think the customers will too. So tell us a little bit about this particular fishery. This is my first time here at the Reach. Boat ramp was something, you know, we do a lot of jet boating up in Hell's Canyon, the Salmon River, and I always complain about the boat ramps. And this morning, I told you win the roughest, worst boat ramp award this morning. It's something else to launch here. And probably this morning, 50, 60 boats in line that you're dealing with. And you know, making sure your clients get out in the front. But enough of that. Tell us about this fishery.
Yeah, so this is the Hanford Reach. It's in central Washington. So basically you're catching salmon in the desert. Now, this is their spawning ground. So this is where they're coming from the ocean, and I follow them up through all the different fisheries to here. So every day there's new fish arriving, but they're not going anywhere. These fish are spawning here. This is their final destination in their life cycle. And so it's a very dynamic fishery. We can fish many different ways depending on the current. As you can see on the shorelines here, how low the water is right now. Well, in 2 hours, that water could be all the way up in the trees. So they call this the last free flow of the Columbia, because the height of water is predicted by how much water is let out of the dam above us, not by how much water the dam below us is holding back. So this is really like a real river in this section, and this is where the salmon spawn, on all these gravel bars throughout the area.
And these are what's called the Upriver Brights, correct?
Yes,
this
URBs.
Is the fish that everybody wants, right? The beautiful Upriver Brights.
Yep, they're a little bit red and colored up on the outside, but they cut red on the inside. And
sure, and a lot of people might see in the photo and think it's a tule, but it's not. This is an Upriver Bright, but it's just moving into later stages of its life cycle.
Exactly, exactly. We call them red dragons when you get a real big one. And that's the nice part is here, these fish are coming here, so you got a chance to catch a 40 or a 50-pound king. It's not common to catch a 50-pounder, but it's always a possibility.
This is like a larger strain or a larger fish gene pool in this area, right?
Yeah,
the
and
fish that come from
the
here.
URBs are a fall Chinook, and the falls are the biggest salmon in the family of salmon, and so you get these big fish, and they're all congregating in this one area. Whereas if you're downriver, they're just flying by. But here, they're stacked in here, and we're trolling our baits through these fish, and you can get some nice ones.
And now that now that we're just kind of segued into trolling, as you can see, we're trolling here. What type of rigs do you typically like to use here?
You know, it's dynamic. You know, it changes daily. I might fish, like right now, we're downstream trolling pro trolls and spinners and super baits. And then we might go, when the current comes up and the water's higher, we might go to jet diver and eggs, or we might go to flatlining mag lips, or jet diver and mag lips. I also have downriggers. I'll use downriggers and fish the bottom of these 60-foot holes. So there's a lot of different ways to catch these fish here, and if you spend some time on the water, you start to learn at what point should I be fishing a different style. And like right now, this is the best time for super bait fishing and pro troll fishing with spinners. But when that water comes up and it's real high, those fish start moving. So you get into these ambush zones where their traveling lanes are, and we put eggs in front of them, or we put quick fish in front of them, or mag lips to entice them or agitate them into biting.
Sure.
They get pretty grumpy up here.
Yeah, one of the things that I appreciate about you is just the sheer science behind the rigs. I know you've shared with me that you keep varying leader lengths. You know, I'm always trying to pick your brain. You know, what length should I run my spinners at? And you're always like, well, let's talk water clarity, water conditions,
right,
what current speeds,
right,
and you're continually adjusting for the environment.
Right. Yep. It's very important. You know, these rotating flashers, you know, that imparts action on your lure, and if you have a longer leader, you get less action. And sometimes they want less action, but sometimes they want that thing being real erratic and real jerky, and when they're real aggressive, it kind of makes them mad, and they're going to bite it. So I'm always playing around with that. Right now we're running about 27-inch leaders, and that's been working really well. We're getting them on spinners more than super baits right now. The Hildebrandt spinners have been working really well for me, and that's a Yakima bait product. But I enjoy working with all these companies that are you know, in the know and want to create innovative products, and they're not stagnant and staying with just the old tried and true stuff. They try to figure out new ways to skin a cat, basically.
Sure. Well, and I know also, as good as you represent your sponsors, I think the customer experience with you has just been second to none. I've sure enjoyed, you know, what I like about you is You know, in any of your photos, you're always excited. There's enthusiasm on the boat. When there's a kid on the boat, you give a lot of focus to them to make sure they enjoy that. And that's something I just personally want to thank you for, because getting kids involved in this and families having a good experience. And what a phenomenal opportunity to get out here and catch these beautiful king Chinook salmon, the fall upriver brights. And I think as the day goes on, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about rigs, but for now I can tell you're itching to turn this thing around and run us back up the river.
There we go. Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit shallow. We're kind of the end of our
I can tell you're getting itchy, so we'll go ahead and pause now and continue this a little bit later. All right.
Yeah! Woo!